Welcome to Female Voices, Life and Loss, a podcast dedicated to women from all walks of life. Whether you're navigating through loss, seeking growth, or simply looking for a place to feel understood, you've come to the right space. Each week, we provide compassionate guidance, share diverse stories, and offer practical advice to help you heal, grow, and thrive. No matter where you are on your journey, we're here to walk with you. Let's grow together.
Hello, welcome to Female Voices Life and Loss. I'm your host, Teresa Reiniger. I'm solo today, no Luana with me today. I'm super excited. I have an extraordinary guest that's going to be sharing her story. It is a very inspirational and deeply moving story. Sophia Carpenter is a women's empowerment coach, and her journey is so much more than the title that she has. Her life was forever changed by a traumatic car accident that left her unable to walk. And yet, instead of letting loss define her, she discovered an unbreakable strength within her. Sophia turned her pain into purpose, becoming a fierce advocate for women who feel shattered by grief. She teaches them how to release their pain, reclaim their power, and rise to new heights. So whether you're feeling lost in your own grief or searching for a spark of hope, Sophia's story today is a powerful reminder that resilience is within reach. So welcome, Sophia, to the podcast. I am really excited for you to share your story and for me really to hear more about you. We just talked briefly, and so I'm excited to hear more about you. So welcome to the podcast.
Well, thank you for having me, Teresa.
You are so welcome. So first, before we get into sharing your story, can you share a little bit just about you, where you live, what you like to do, some more things that might help the audience know who you are and where you're from.
So I live in sunny California, not in San Diego or Los Angeles, but right smack down in the valley. It doesn't bother me much because I've lived here my whole life, and so make the most of where you live. So I am a fur mama to a dog named Kalua and a cat named Levi, and I love to spend my time outdoors when I'm not working on something. So I love to sit underneath the tree and just sit there with my dog. Or we like to go to the park, sitting out there in the fresh air and just taking all the beautiness around us, me and my dog. But I never thought myself as an entrepreneur. I did have a small business when I was 18 years old, and so I had my own dog training business and my dog sitting business. And, I just, being a teenager, you want get money in your pocket. But I did have a few other businesses. But I graduated with my bachelor's degree in social work, and I thought I was gonna, pave the way for youth who are in the foster care system. But then I was introduced to a program where you can use your skills and your abilities to help other people with whatever resonates with you. And so I chose to guide women along the journey of who have experienced a deep loss. And so these are women who have been stuck in the phase of grief a year or more. So I really was passionate. I was really excited to get up in the morning And so this is I said this is my calling, and I can feel it in my spirit, and it's so exhilarating to wake up each morning with a passion in your heart and just ready for the day and to see where life takes you.
That's awesome. I love that. I love that. There's nothing better than having a passion for something and an understanding that this is really a purpose. And I know you definitely have had a lot of pain in your life, and so it is amazing to talk to women like yourself that have taken that pain and really turned that into a purpose, which it sounds like you definitely have done that. So let's talk a little bit. Let's go back a little bit, and then we'll move forward with all of the things that you kind of touched just a tiny bit on. So you talked about foster care. So let's put all of those pieces together. So you were in a car accident that left you not able to walk. But tell us a little bit. Let's go back into that story a little of that. So tell us about the car accident, what led you to foster care, all of that.
Okay. Well, I remember it was my first day of preschool. So just imagine like you're this is it. I'm going to school and you're feeling so excited and so ready to take on the world, but I never made it to preschool, and that day, so it was September 30th, 1994, and so that was a day where my whole entire life changed upside down. And it, because one minute I was with my mom and dad, and we, were living in a small trailer, but yet we had everything. My mom was 8 months pregnant, and she and the baby died instantly. And so, upon that, being taken away from my dad, it shifted something in me. So because of my complex medical condition, I was not able to go home with my dad. I was placed in foster care. So, but I was placed in the home with a beautiful woman who had a heart to give, and really wanted the best for me. So, my dad gave me up for adoption, and so just imagine the capacity of all this happening, and what a 5-year-old kid cannot even take that all in, but just to know that something is changing. And so that's where I was left. So not only did I lose my mom, I was taken away from the only parent I had left. So when I was in the car accident, I was thrown into the front seat. And so, I had whiplash. And so, I was diagnosed as a spinal cord injury.
Sure.
And that left me paralyzed from the mid chest down. And so just imagine the last bit of the iceberg, like dragging you down to the deep depths of the sea, and imagine how it affected me. But I think kids are so resilient because they have not had a long time to live their life in a certain way. I have no prior memory of the life before the car accident. So I think that's where my resiliency really kicked in, and it fostered my outlook and my the way I saw things in life as just this is where my life began. And so I never truly had the those memories of walking or running. So I think that's where my resiliency really rose.
So you felt like that rose right away. I mean, I assume that you were hospitalized for a while, and then the transition into adoption to a foster care. I could only imagine those months or years before that whole transition happened. Can you speak to that a little bit? I would imagine that resilience came a little later, or was
Yeah.
it right away?
Well, for parents out there, so what do you tell your kids when they fall down? Okay, you fell down, you hurt your knee, and let's get back up, right? And so for
Sure.
me, it wasn't that I had any memories of walking, but I was just like, I fell down and I got a owie or a scratch, or and so now it's time to get up. But I think the idea that I'm trying to speak to is that don't judge your circumstance um too harshly, because it could be a simple thing as a reminder of you're gonna be okay. So I wouldn't say my resiliency came right away, but it propelled me to when I received declaration that this is how this is gonna be, and just to I'm gonna be okay.
So the resilience eventually came. And
Yeah.
so I assume, did you go to school? Were you able to go to school? Were you homeschooled?
I was in public school, so in between the accident and the resiliency, I guess I did not handle things very well. I spent years
Okay.
in counseling. I
Okay.
spent years talking to different specialties, but I actually held on to so much anger, bitterness, resentment, to why I couldn't go home with my dad, to why everything I held on to um would eventually be taken away. And so I didn't let anyone get close. Um
Okay.
and so I pushed everyone away. And so I actually spiraled up. Um in social work, I learned that as you spiral up, um you can it's like a volcano. So I took things out on other people, but the frustration, the anger. And so I was not always this up resilient, up happy, cheerful individual. There was that tendency for a long time, up until 6th grade, where I didn't handle things very well. Let's just say that.
Okay.
um, and so no matter where you are, I always tell the women in my group that um, good things um, are birthed in the dark times. So if you can just imagine a caterpillar, right? Because a caterpillar goes into the cocoon and comes out a butterfly. And so that's where you step into the role of um, knowing who you are and where you want to go.
That's a beautiful analogy for sure. I love the story. I talk about that a lot, the butterfly, and many times we do go into a very, very dark space. And that's what I was kind of wondering, like, where did that resilience come? Like, with all that traumatic what happened to you, at what point did that shift happen? And it sounds like what you said, like, it took a while. It took a while
Yeah.
for that shift. So you remember, like, maybe 6th grade or so is where there seemed to be a shift. Was that because of the counselor that you had at that time? Can you pinpoint a time where you felt that total shift? Like, now I can do this. Was it with support from someone else, the
Um,
family,
no,
or a counselor?
it it was actually the support of um having a service dog. And so
Okay.
within having the dog, because I pushed everyone away, but the one thing that I
Okay.
could not push away was a furry friend named Candy. And so he taught me how to love. He taught me how to feel joy and be joyful. And he made me feel believe in myself. So if you can imagine a teenager, right? Because that stage is very awkward. And so he taught me to believe in myself, and I signed up for a student body counselor to be the president of my Girl Scout troop. And so that was where I started to feel like, okay, I can do a little more. But it wasn't until I was 21 where I really firmly believed that I had built a relationship with God. And that's where my story really began, when I was 21.
So a little bit of shift at 6th grade, and then more shift at 21.
Yeah, because healing is a lifelong journey. And
Yes.
so whether you're in the beginning stages of right after a loss, you know, life is about becoming who you are meant to be. And so I believe that if we all just take one action step a day, you know, those will amount to bigger steps in the end. And that's where it's like a the story of the train. And so he just said, I know I can, I know I can, I know I can. And so that's all you can do, is just take it one day at a time. And there are going to be phases throughout your life, but you're becoming who you're meant to be.
Yeah. So tell me, what were some of those small steps or big steps that you felt that you needed to take to become who you are today and who you're meant to be? Can you pinpoint some of those big steps and small steps that you do or have done?
Yeah. So it was starting to believe in myself, to know that I can, I'm going to be okay and I can do this. And I had to let go of all the hurt, all the pain, all the terrible things. I actually did go back to everyone that I hurt, that I pushed away, that I took my anger out, and I asked them to forgive me, but then I had to forgive myself as well. So letting go and releasing the things that I held on to, and trusting it into the hands of God, and to know that everything is going to be all right. But it first starts with healing in you. And then I had to reclaim the life that I turning so much opportunities away. I had to reclaim my life. And so I tell the women I speak to that um, love and loss can coexist together. And so that's the beautiness, when you can see it for what it is to a chance to rebuild your life and reclaim your power, and to reclaim your identity. And so the last step that I have is to rise. And so this is where the resiliency really kicks in, is that you take the biggest step. I've been on this journey, and I've seen myself grow through the phases, but I know that I am meant for more, and I have a calling and a purpose on my life. And so it goes through a process, a step-by-step process. And that's how, you know, God takes us through a process of becoming the woman that he's called us to be, or the man that he's called men to be. And so we have to be like a caterpillar, and we may endure tough times, we may endure hard times, but the Father is close to those who are hurt, who are burdened. And so I think that if we have Christ in our with us, that we can stand against anything.
That's beautiful. So at what point, how did you, I know you talked about you needed to go back and apologize to everyone that you had hurt or you were angry with, and then also to forgive yourself. Where did that come from? Was that when you came to know God, Christ? Was that from a coach, a therapist? Was that from your family? When was that shift? Like from totally being so angry at circumstances, many losses of your mom, loss of your dad, losses of your health, losses of your identity, everything around you, your home, everything was lost. So when did you shift? And so totally understandable, I feel like, where anger could definitely be there and very prevalent. So
Yeah.
totally understand where you could be lash out at other people and all of those things. So when was the shift, or what happened to for you to shift into, I need to forgive myself and I want to apologize to people? Where did that come from? How did
So
that come to be?
I had well, one of the therapists one of the many therapists I had, so one, I really built a relationship with this woman, and she knew me before I even spoke a word. And so, she gave me some practical, steps to take, but the one that stuck out
Good.
the most to me was that she said that enable for you to, receive, you got to let go of the hurt that you carry. And I must have been in 7th 8th grade at the time. And
Mm-hmm.
so she said, I want you to go back, ask for forgiveness, and then forgive yourself. Because if you hold on to the pain, if you hold on to the hurt, if you hold on to that, um in the sense of, it's poison. It's poison to
Yeah.
you, and it's poison to your body. And once it enters into your body, it can have a physical, emotional effect. And so, that's where I really pressed in and listened. And so I went back to my first, I took things out on babysitters because I thought, why are
Mm.
they here? I can watch me and my sister. And so, I was really, mean to them. And so, yeah, if you don't let go of the hurt, the pain, it's going to end up causing you more pain, but it's
Yeah.
going to happen from the inside. And that it's like drinking poison and having it fill your body. And that's not the first time that happened to me.
So the first real realization that things were happening. But yeah, I am rereading a book called The Body Keeps the Score. And very much our body does keep the score. And when
Mm,
there's so much hurt, anger within us, things that we're not resolving, and especially when it comes to grief and loss, it can play a lot of havoc in our body. And it's not in one area, because we all hold emotions in different places of our body. So that was great information, great guidance for you, for someone, the counselor, it sounds like, to share with you to work towards that forgiveness of yourself and then apologizing to others. So that was great information for her to share with you.
Yeah.
For
And one of them, I was so mortified that I had to really take some big gulps and just go for it. Go up
Yeah.
to her and ask her for forgiveness.
Yeah. So at what point did you feel like God came into your life to really, because you've talked about that a couple times now, when did you feel, or when do you remember that really like, really paying attention or maybe giving your life to God or making a more understanding of God, that there was a purpose for your life? Do you remember or recall when that shift happened? You know, it's all, there's different stages in our life that things just shift and more realization of things. Do you recall
So
that time?
I was probably seventh or eighth grade. Just because I remember it was my high school pastor that really spoke to me, and I got baptized, and I still have the picture today. So yeah, that was the first time I was baptized. But then I got baptized again several years later just because I was at a different point in my life. I had to resurrender.
So it sounds like your teenage years, because you mentioned sixth grade, seventh grade, you know, those years were in, those are years that are very impressionable with kids, girls, those teenage years, beginning preteens. So it's interesting to me that that's when there was a lot of shift in you. And I love that, because a lot of times at that age, the shift goes the other way, you know,
Yeah.
so that, and yours kind of shifted more the positive and the faith based and the forgiveness, where many times with young women and men, those preteen to teens, it goes the opposite way.
So so it was like, I have a purpose. I know that this is something
Mm-hmm.
that I'm called to do something, but it wasn't until I was, a 20 in my 20s, that I really had a relationship with God, and I, um, really knew that this is a different kind of walk. And so I'm walking with God now instead of just you know how you are when you're younger. And so you're aware of God's there, but you don't know how to walk spiritually with him.
Nice. Nice. Okay. So a shift, sixth, seventh, eighth grade, an awareness, and then in your 20s, like a total awareness and walking with God
Yeah.
to determine what that purpose is. You know there was a purpose because you were still here, surviving all of that tragedy and loss. So preteen, teen, you knew there was a purpose, and it sounds like in your 20s, if I'm correct in summarizing this, in your 20s, it was like total now awareness of finding, um, walking with God and finding that purpose. Would that be correct?
Yes.
Awesome. Awesome. So tell us a little bit about finding that purpose in what, and I assume that's in what you're doing now. And you had a lot of counsel along the way. You talked about that did some shifts in your life. When did you decide that that was your purpose, was to follow that and not be a teacher or not be a nurse? Or when was that awareness that this is my purpose?
Yeah. And so I guess it was a shift, that a tingle, inside of me, instead of just me knowing that I want to be a social worker. My social worker
Okay.
degree was that I need to grow up, and so I need to either provide income or find my own place, or so that's why I went with social work. But I knew I needed a job to provide for my future, and so I guess it was really a sensation within that I knew that coaching women was my calling. So it was like a stirring, a small whisper, and so that's how I would identify that. That's how you know your purpose.
Awesome. So you just felt it. So they were,
Yeah.
I would imagine that you were doing something kind of within that. We as women, we were kind of, I feel like I have been coaching all of my life. So from very young, coaching my younger siblings. And when I got older in my teenage years, coaching sports to younger kids. And then as I got older, coaching really the youth ministry at my church. So I think we as women were always teaching and sharing and coaching and all of that. And I'm sure that you had someone that you were talking to that you felt that deep within, like, ooh, this feels really good and this is where I need to be. Do you remember that moment? Like, were you talking to someone or
I
at school?
I was watching a YouTube video, and
Okay.
I'm not sure if you're aware of Coach Tamara Lowe.
I'm
She
not.
works with Kingdom Builders.
Okay, I'm not, but yeah, something I can look up.
Okay. So I saw her on YouTube, and I just knew that there was something that stuck out in her to make me sign up for her coaching program. And of course, I went and saw someone who could provide the income to get me started. And so I guess knowing that God brought this woman, and I don't know how to explain it, but it was just something about her that glowed, I would say. And so, yeah, and so she helped me get started in my coaching career. And I work with several other coaches in the program, and I wake up smiling. I'm waking up excited. Well, I never saw myself in like punching a clock, punching in and punching out. I never saw myself in the office where I'm taking orders from someone. So I wanted to make an impact, and so I just knew that this was it. And so you can make a mighty impact just an hour. So yeah, that's what also spoke to me.
Awesome. I love that. So in your coaching, you talked about, talk about the importance of releasing, maybe reclaiming, and you talked about rising.
Yes.
Can you break down what that is? Are those kind of the 3 steps that you use? So if you can share with the listeners, how do they apply those things to their own healing? The releasing, reclaiming, and rising. Talk a little bit about that, your program of coaching.
Okay, so my coaching is tailored to the individual. And so the releasing, reclaiming, and the rising, those are the stepping stones within my program. Those are the step-by-step process that we get you from where you are now to where you want to, who you want to become. And you can sign up with me one-on-one for 45 minutes to an hour, and we sit down together and just form a plan tailored to you.
Awesome. Yeah. So as a woman who is transforming from pain into purpose, what would you say to someone right now that's listening who feels overwhelmed? And, as a grief coach myself, I could speak to this as well, but I want you as my guest. And some people may think, Teresa, you do grief coaching. Why are you having someone else on? Because I believe that we all connect with certain people. And I might not be the right fit for someone, nor Sophia be the right fit for someone. And I want to make sure that those that are grieving have the right person to walk that path with. So, what would you say to someone listening right now that feels overwhelmed by their grief and that isn't sure how they can feel whole again? What would you say to them?
So, like I mentioned today, is that all it takes is one step at a time. And
Yeah.
if you can just make the decision to, I'm all in this, and take a few deep breaths and just take one active, intentional step, whether it's picking up something or emptying the dishwasher, because so many women feel overwhelmed, not by just their emotions or their loss, but overwhelmed by what's happening around them. And so just cleaning up something, or making a small intentional task per day, you can regain that I'm still in control, even though um it's so overwhelming, that I can do this. I can do this, and just take a deep breath and breathe out. And whether you want to turn on soothing music, or and just go about your day, just knowing that, just taking active steps.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you are open to someone, same as me, open to a conversation with someone. I would love for you to give your website so that if someone is like, oh, I think Sophia, I have a lot in common with her, a lot of the same, like the tragedies, the trauma, how do they connect with you? If you can just share real quick, what is your website? What's the best way for them to connect with you?
So you can find me on Facebook, or Instagram. Those are the only platforms I'm starting out with. But you can DM me, or just comment, breakthrough session, or if you want to see what more there is, just DM interview, and we can get you booked, and um we can sit down together one on one and just have a chat.
Awesome. And how do they find you on Facebook or on Instagram? Can you share your name and spelling, maybe? Because it's spelled
Um,
different.
yes.
And I will make sure I put it in the show notes, but I wanted to
Okay.
make sure you say it so that if people are only listening, they can hear it and write it down, but they can always go to the show notes. It'll be there as well.
My name, Sofia, Carpenter, Carpenter.
Awesome. Okay. Perfect. So if they need to get in touch with you, they can do that on Facebook or Instagram at Sophia Carpenter. And I want to just thank you so much for coming on today and sharing your story and how you have turned your pain into purpose and doing what you believe, for sure. And I can tell when you talk the passion that you have for working with women, and have found that that is truly where your purpose is, from your pain. So thank you so much for sharing your story, your wisdom. You're a light for us all today. Your journey really is a testimony to the power of faith, resilience, and the fierce commitment to do not just let loss be those final chapters that you are or definitely resilient. And I love that. So I want to thank everyone for tuning in to Female Voices Life and Loss. And if you have found this episode, of course, helpful, please share it. Reach out to Sophia.
If I
Take
can
gentle
say
care
one
of
more
yourself.
thing.
Oh, sure. Go ahead.
Yes. I just want you all to know that your story isn't over. It's just waiting to be rewritten.
Yes. Write the next chapter. Okay. Thank you again so much for coming on and sharing this time with me.
You're welcome. Thank you, Teresa.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Female Voices Life and Loss. We hope today's conversation brought you comfort, insight, and a sense of community. Remember, you're not alone in this journey. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. And if you found this episode helpful, please share it with others who might need it. Stay connected, stay resilient, and until next time, keep growing and healing.